Today, we're going to look at a piece of technology that's set to completely reshape the very foundation of how we design computer chips. We're talking about taking a process that used to eat up months of intense work and condensing it down to just a few minutes.
So just to get a sense of the scale we're dealing with, you have to start here, the semiconductor industry. It's a massive market, worth well over $600 billion, and it's literally the bedrock of every piece of modern technology you can think of. And right at the heart of all that are what we call systems on a chip, or SoCs, which are basically entire computer systems all squeezed onto one tiny piece of silicon.
But here's the crazy thing. For an industry that's so advanced, it has this one critical problem. The very first, and you could argue most important phase of chip design, the architecture phase, is a huge bottleneck. As our source material puts it pretty bluntly, the traditional ways of doing things are just archaic. And this so-called Stone Age process happens at the most critical point of all. You see, the architecture is what determines if a product is going to be a success or a failure. It locks in all the costs that come later on. If you get this part wrong, the consequences aren't just small mistakes. They're multi-million-dollar problems. Now, this slide really gets to the heart of the conflict. On one hand, you have the traditional process, which is painstakingly slow, it's manual, and it means you can maybe explore one or two design ideas over several months. But on the other hand, the business needs speed, it needs data to make good decisions, and it needs to minimize risk. So what happens? Companies are forced to make these incredibly high-stakes bets based on way too little information. So how in the world do you fix a bottleneck that fundamental? Well, the answer we're looking at today is a platform called SoC Pilot. It's the world's first AI-native platform built specifically to tackle this problem. And the best way to think about it? It's basically ChatGPT for chip architecture. So what is it really? At its core, SoC Pilot is a platform that completely transforms those months of grueling architecture work into a simple conversation that takes minutes. It's not just an improvement, it's a total shift in how things are done. All right, let's actually walk through how this works. How do you get from a simple idea to a full, formal design? Well, it all starts with just talking. The whole flow is actually beautifully simple. First, an engineer just has a conversation with the AI, describing what they need at a high level. You know, something like, hey, I need to design a really low-power chip for a wearable health tracker. It's got to have Bluetooth and a small display controller. Then, step 2, the AI listens, captures all those requirements, and works with the engineer to refine the details. And then, for the final step, the AI just automatically generates a detailed technical specification and a fully interactive block diagram. And just like that, you have a formal design artifact that used to take months, and you got it in minutes. But, getting that first draft of the design is really just the starting line. From that point, the platform flows right into a streamlined, data-driven workflow where you can validate, analyze, and perfect the design. And all of this happens in one place, a single design hub. Architects can go in and visually tweak the design, no coding required. They can run real-time validation checks that not only find problems, but also get AI-powered suggestions on how to fix them. They can analyze performance to find bottlenecks early. And when they're done, they can package up and download all the design files for the next team in the process. When you put all that together, this new workflow creates an incredible strategic advantage. So now we're going to shift a bit from the features of the platform to the real-world business impact, because this really does signal a whole new era for chip design. And this table just lays it out perfectly. The old way? You get one, maybe two design options over a few months, and you're forced into making a high-stakes bet. The SoC Pilot way? You can explore 10 or more different options in minutes, and that means your final decision is backed by data, and you can make it with confidence. Now, the reason that speed and exploration is so incredibly important comes down to this number right here. A single mistake in the design that gets caught too late in the process can easily cost a company anywhere from $5 to over $10 million. This platform is all about catching those potential mistakes right at the very beginning. So let's wrap up the key takeaways here. The business impacts are huge. We're not just talking about getting products to market faster. We're talking about avoiding those catastrophic multi-million-dollar errors. It's about making smarter, data-driven investments. And it's also about opening up this critical phase of chip design to more people, beyond just the absolute coding experts. And all of this brings us to one final, really powerful question that this technology asks the entire industry. When you remove the single biggest barrier to innovation, what new doors open up? What new things become possible? What will you build when architecture is no longer a bottleneck?